This is the Dreamers Podcast, episode 22. Today is June 15th, 2021. As I'm stepping into, what's officially my late 30s, I decided to record this episode to share some of the financial goals that I have for the last 4 years before I turned 40.
Hello, world. Welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. I am Stephanie Anne-Lyse, also known as Anne-Lyse Wealth. I am a financial coach and an author. I self-published my first book, Dream of Legacy, a guide to help dreamers reach financial independence and build generational wealth. In this podcast, I'll have conversations with experts and thought leaders who dare to follow their dreams. You'll hear about their journey and their money stories. I hope it inspires you, dreamers out there, to live life on your own terms.
Come on, dreamers, let's change the world!
This episode is brought to you by Dream of Legacy. Check out dreamoflegacy.com for resources to assist you on your journey to financial independence. Hello, welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. I'm your host, Anne-Lyse Wealth. I am so happy that you decided to join me for today's special episode. So today is a solo episode, and by the time this episode airs, it'll be a couple days after my 36th birthday. 35 has been quite interesting. I've had big wins like releasing my first book, Dream of Legacy, launching this podcast, meeting amazing people, starting to write professionally. But there was also some challenging times, right? COVID made life a little more challenging for many of us. And also, I had a big loss with my father's passing earlier this year. But I'm counting my blessings, and I'm thankful to see another year. And I'm also thankful for the COVID vaccine. So as I'm stepping into, what's officially my late 30s, I decided to record this episode to share some of the financial goals that I have for the last 4 years before I turned 40. Before we go back to today's episode, if you're listening from an Apple device, please go to Apple Podcast right now, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It will take a couple minutes, but it would help the podcast be discovered by more amazing listeners like you. So I would definitely appreciate it. Now back to today's episode. I have many things to be grateful for. And one of the things I am very, very thankful for this year is that for the first time in many years, I'm spending my birthday in the motherland, Africa, surrounded by family. So I'm celebrating entering 36 with, of course, my husband and kids, but also my siblings, sister-in-law, and a few more family members. I am surrounded by so much love. I am focusing on the positive. I'm grateful to be able to celebrate with loved ones after what was for many people a difficult year. I am happy. I am blessed to turn 36, and I intend to make the next 4 years count. So I'm sharing 10 of my personal financial goals so you can hold me accountable. So here they are in no particular order. Continue to align my earnings with my purpose. A couple years ago, I decided to get off the train, which is to maximize my earnings, even if it meant being in a situation or work situation that is toxic or unhealthy. But I decided to let go of that a couple years ago and to only do work that is in alignment with my purpose and focus on impact first, money second. I still intend to earn more, but I ask myself if what I'm doing is going to get me closer to my purpose or further away. And if it's out of alignment, I usually pass on it. And I want to continue to do that. And, I believe in God. And as I get more and more aligned with my purpose, doors and opportunities are opening. And I am confident that in the long run, it will turn into more dollars as well. Goal number 2, cement my sister and father's legacy. One of the projects that I've been working on for a while now is a project that I started with my sisters. I had two sisters, and one of them passed away from cancer in 2019. And my other sister and I kind of put the project on pause. It is essentially an African-inspired clothing collection for kids. But we decided to pick it back up right before COVID, and then COVID came and slowed things down. But it's definitely a passion project, and it's something that we want to complete together in honor of my sister, who was the definition of a fashionista. Now on to the third goal. Another thing that's near and dear to my heart is establishing a foundation in my home country of Cameroon that will provide resources to educate the next generation of leaders for many years to come. And I think it will be a great way to continue my father's legacy as well as my sister's legacy of giving back and lifting others as you climb. Goal number 4, building additional streams of income through real estate, developing a course, speaking engagements, building a team of writers to assist me with writing projects. I would like to help more people tell the stories or share the stories that they want to tell, not just through books, but also through other forms of media. I'm also interested in writing for more publications such as Forbes, the New York Times. If you're listening, I would love to write for you. Goal number 5 relates to the family business that my siblings and I now have the responsibility to run. The goal is to work with my siblings to expand the family business now that we have transitioned to the second generation. The challenge here is to expand the family legacy while also building my own. But I'm up for it. Goal number 6 is to generate enough passive income to finance my lifestyle. When you hear lifestyle, you're probably thinking just being around the world on yachts and private jets. But I have a more conservative approach, and I just want to be at a point where my everyday expenses are covered by my passive income. I think now I have a good handle of what makes me happy, how I want to spend my money, what actually brings value to my life. And I want to be able to continue to do those things without having to actively earn money to continue to do those things. Goal number 7, I would like to continue to use my platform to inspire and elevate more people, to encourage people to get good with money so that they can live their best life. I want to use my writing to help change the narrative when it comes to the Black community and finances. I want more people to believe it's possible and take action to change their family's wealth trajectory and build generational wealth. Goal number 8, write another book. Right now, the topic that I have in mind is one that's very near and dear to my heart, which is generational wealth. I don't want to say too much, but it will be looking at it from a different angle. But I want to leave it right here that I might change my mind on the topic. Goal number 9 is I want to do more investing outside of retirement accounts and even outside of brokerage accounts. The vast majority of my investment will still be in low-cost index funds, probably at about 85 to 90%. Then individual stocks, and I save a tiny percentage for alternative investments like cryptocurrency. And, a few years ago, I also started investing small amounts of money in startups using this website called Start Engine, which is an equity crowdfunding platform that allows regular people to invest and buy shares in startups. This is definitely not where I would put my retirement money, but it's an investment that's similar to people who would purchase art and hoping that it will appreciate with time. But over the next 4 years, I would like to be more intentional about investing a little bit of money here and there in startups. And my 10th goal is related to travel, but to travel, especially as a family of 5, you need resources. So if I want to make those happen, I have to create a plan. And essentially, it's 2 things that I want to do when it comes to traveling. The first one is I would like to visit Egypt, Ghana, and Australia, and also take my 7-year-old to Barcelona in Spain, which she's been asking me to do since she heard Ed Sheeran's song Barcelona a few years ago. Egypt and Ghana, I would love to visit with my family when my twins are a little bit older so they remember this experience, because there's so much history in both places that they can benefit from. And I think Australia would be a great family destination as well. Also, next year, my husband and I will be celebrating our 10th year wedding anniversary. And we actually honeymooned in Bora Bora, which was the trip of a lifetime. We saved for a while to make it happen, and we were happy to spend every single dime that we did out there. But when we were in Bora Bora, we told ourselves that we would be back there 10 years later. It was before we had kids. Plans have changed since then, but would love to have an intimate vow renewal ceremony somewhere beautiful and warm to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. I guess that means we have to start saving, right? So there you have it. 10 financial goals that I have for the next 4 years. What do you think? I would love to hear about your financial goals. Why don't you send me a DM on Instagram or tag me and let me know what you think about this episode at thedreamers.podcast. I would love to hear from you. I'm heading back to the beach to celebrate turning 36. Cheers to a great year. I'm wishing you health, success, wealth, and everything that your heart desires. I can't wait to see you back here next week. On the podcast, we have financial educator and speaker Marcus Garrett. Also coming up in June, we have business strategist, best-selling author, and multimedia entrepreneur Tina Wells. And we'll be talking legacy and wealth with Lauren Miller, the founder of Can't Stay Put and director of business development for M3 Consulting. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Dreamers Podcast. You can find today's show notes and all of the links mentioned during the episode at dreamoflegacy.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, here's what you can do to support me and help more dreamers discover the podcast. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I read every single review, and I'll select one review to read on the podcast every month. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Share the podcast with your family, friends, and coworkers. And if you really enjoyed today's episode, tag me on Instagram at thedreamers.podcast and let me know what you liked about it. All right, dreamers, that's it for today. I will see you back here next week for another episode of the Dreamers Podcast.
Okay, dreamers, time to build this legacy.
This podcast is for general information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax, legal, financial planning, insurance, accounting, investment, or any other kind of professional advice or services. Please consult with an appropriate tax, financial, or legal professional to receive appropriate advice based on your situation.